Okay, so in this video I'm going to talk about what's called the AC method. It's not mentioned in the textbook. And some of you may be used to what I call the big X method, something like that. And you put a number here and a number here, and then you figure these numbers out. So if you learned that method and you feel comfortable using it, do that. If you love trial and error, do that. If you learned the AC method in another class and you love that, do that. It doesn't matter to me how you factor it. And I've seen other methods too, but those are the three that I've seen most of the time. And I'm going to show you on this example, I'll show you trial and error, and then I'll show you what I'm talking about with the AC method. Okay. Whoops. So trial and error. I'm trying to think of two numbers that multiply to be negative 18. So multiply to be negative 18 and add to be 3. Now this is our first problem where we had a negative number. So I need two numbers that multiply to be 18. I don't know if you're thinking 2 and 9 or 6 and 3. I'm thinking 6 and 3. So I'll say 3 and 6. But here's the thing. One of those has to be negative to get a negative 18. So do I want it to be negative 3 or do I want it to be a negative 6? Well, let's say I want it to be a negative 6. What's 3 plus negative 6? Well, that's negative 3, so no, it's not that one. So, frowny face. That trial didn't work. So what about negative 3 and positive 6? Yes, that works because negative 3 plus 6, that's 3, so that's the right one. You could try 2 and 9 and they don't work. Negative 2 and 9, negative 9 and 2. You could try 1 and 18, but one of them would have to be negative. So there's lots of combinations, okay? So trial and error can get a little messy sometimes and people get frustrated. Keep trying and I'm not getting it to work out. Okay, so I'm going to show you another method in a minute, but we know the numbers are negative 3 and 6, and so this is going to factor into x minus 3 and x plus 6. Now that's the answer. I'm going to put a box around it, but I am going to check it by doing FOIL. So x times x is x squared. X times 6 is 6x, negative 3 times x is negative 3x, and negative 3 times 6 is negative 18. Notice how I keep checking the answer. That's so I will get it right. And if it doesn't come out to be the original polynomial, I've made a mistake and I did something wrong. All right. Now I'll show you the AC method. Okay, so take the original polynomial, x squared plus 3x minus 18. And you still do this process. Now, this one's not going to be too exciting. The next problem will be a little more exciting. But what I'm going to show you how to write it out, though. You split up the 3x into negative 3x and 6x. So it's like you're unfoiling. You take that middle term and you split it into two pieces. Right? Those add up to 3x. Negative 3x and 6x add up to 3x. Then you do the grouping thing. So group the first two, pull out the x. That's the GCF. Look at the last two, pull out what they have in common, which is 6. And when that happens, if your grouping is going to work, then those binomials have to be the same. Otherwise, your grouping didn't work. But they are the same, so yay. Put that x minus 3 in the back, and then the x plus 6 in the front. And then if you multiply that out, that's the same. Now notice that it's backwards from what I had over here. That's okay. All right. I won't mark you. I don't care which way it is. They're both right. Okay. Now let's look at the AC method where we don't have a leading coefficient of 1. So far, all our factoring problems for trinomials, we had a leading coefficient of 1. This time it's an 8. Now I'm going to show it to you with trial and error, and then I'll show you the AC method. Okay. So trial and error, I'm looking at this and I need two things that multiply to be 8x squared. I'm thinking 4x and 2x. Usually with trial and error, we put the parentheses down and then we start thinking about, well, what could be what? So it could be 4x and 2x. It could be 8x and 1x. Those are really the only possibilities we have. Now what about the negative 3? Well, it's either going to be negative 3 and 1 or it's going to be 1 and negative 3. Did I say the same thing? It's either going to be negative 3 and 1. So we'll try that. Let's try that. Negative 3 and 1. Or it might have the negative on this one, or they might be in different places. So there's 4 possibilities. Could be this way. I'll check it. I'm going to run out of room on this problem. I'll check that in a minute. It could be this way. Could be this way. Or it could be, I ran out of room. Hopefully it's one of those first ways. Okay, but that's just 4 different ways, and I kept the same numbers, right? The only thing I did was I changed the signs and I changed their place, right? So one of those 4 might be right. Or if they're not right, if none of those are right, then I have to try the 8 and 1 with all those combinations. So let's see what we find out. 4 times 2x is 8x squared. 4x, and then minus 6x, and then minus 3. Now that's, oops, I don't know why I have a parenthesis there. I don't think that's looking good. Because I don't like where we're going here. I get a minus 2x. It's supposed to be a minus 10x. So, no, that one didn't work. All right, let's try this other one. I got 4x times 2x. That's the 8x squared. So far, so good. A negative 12x. And I like the looks of this one better. Plus 2x. And a minus 3. Okay, 8x squared minus 10x minus 3. Yep, that's it. So we found it. It took us 2 tries. What about the others? We don't care about the others. I mean, we found the answer, so you don't have to keep going. There's not going to be more than one answer. Factoring is unique, so this is the way it works. But sometimes students get frustrated with all the trials and the errors and the different combinations and what did I try and what didn't I try. So I'm going to rewrite this problem and I'm going to show you the AC method, which is very similar to the big X method. It's the same idea. Okay, what you do, our trinomials come in the form ax squared plus bx plus c. So you take a times c. So I need 2 numbers that multiply to be negative 24. And they add to be negative 10. So it's a little bit different than the MA chart I was showing before. And that has to do with the a times the c. That's why it's called the AC method. It's in a lot of textbooks. But you can just use trial and error too. You don't have to learn this method. But students like it sometimes. So do I have 2 numbers that multiply to be negative 24 and add to be negative 10? I'm going to say 2 times negative 12. That multiplies to be negative 24 and adds to be negative 10. Now we already know what the answer is. And there's no 12 in the answer. Where was my answer? Oh, I put a box around the wrong thing. This was the answer. Sorry about that. This was just the check. Okay. I'm not going to erase my box. Okay. So that's the answer. 4x plus 1, 2x minus 3. So how do we get that? Here's what you do. You unfoil it. Keep the first term, 8x squared. And then you're going to split this up into minus 12x plus 2x. It doesn't matter which number you put first, but if I have one positive and one negative, I usually put the negative one first. It just makes it a little easier with the signs. But it doesn't matter. You could put 2x and minus 12x. Okay. Then I draw my dotted line because now it's a grouping thing. I'm going to factor out a 4x. That's what they have in common. Oh, this is a good one. These don't have anything common other than 1. So I'm going to put plus 1 times 2x minus 3. But look, the parentheses are the same. Yay, so it worked. I'm going to put that 2x minus 3 in the back. And then it'll be the 4x plus 1 in the front. So that's what we call the AC method. It's very similar to the big X method. It works really well. And you can feel free to use that or whichever, if you like trial and error better. I do have students that are like, no, I just like trial and error, so go for that. A lot of times with trial and error, you are going to guess the right numbers, but like I said, when you get a coefficient that's not 1, a leading coefficient that's not 1, and you get some positive and negative signs running around, sometimes it gets a little confusing what you tried and what you didn't try. It just takes practice.